Hey ladies, namaste, welcome, Shakti here. So we are on day 7 of the Awakening Shakti 9 pillars. These are the 9 pillars of the 9 months of my Awakening Shakti Depth Mentorship program. And I'm really hoping that the lives that I've done so far over the past week have been insightful and inspiring for you. So, awakening sexual energy is our theme today. It's a huge theme. It's really basically the theme of my entire life, and my entire work is centered around this. So, there's a lot that I could say, and welcome. There's so much that I could say, there's so much that I could teach and transmit. So I'm just praying for to be a vessel, really, to be able to communicate and transmit really clearly exactly what's needed to come through in this moment for whoever is watching. So the first thing I want to say about awakening your sexual energy as a woman is that it's not all about sex. I stepped onto this path 18 years ago now, and it's taken me a long time and many practices and experiences and ongoing learning and deepening. And for sure, I sought out Tantra for a number of reasons, actually. One reason was that I love sex and I always want better sex. And, I can't see an end to that. It's an infinite space for exploration and deepening and expansion. But I also sought out Tantra because somebody said to me, "You've got a lot of sexual energy." And I didn't know what that really meant. And I was curious. And the other two main reasons were I also have, and in equal proportion to my desire for sexual expansion is my desire for spiritual expansion. That's always been there also. But the main reason really I stepped onto this path is that I was in pain, and the pain was the pain of unhealthy relating and a splitting up of my second marriage. And it was like, I have to change something. And all of that splitting up, sex and our sexuality and our sexual relating was a big part of it. But ultimately, what I want to say is that the awakening of your sexual energy is not all about sex. In fact, the more you go into it, the less it's got to do with sex, until you come to realize that everything is sex. But I don't mean fucking sex. I mean the cosmic lovemaking of the divine masculine and the divine feminine in and all around you in every moment, as the world is spinning, as life is moving, and as we continue to expand and evolve. That's the lovemaking that I'm talking about when I talk about sex at its highest level. So it's not all about sex. It's about all of you. And if you come to this, well, it doesn't really matter where or how you come to this work, but it's gonna, if you're committed to it anyway, it's going to demand all of you, and it's going to change all of you on every single level, on every single layer. And as those changes occur, so of course, well, not of course, but let me tell you from experience, yes, your sexual experience is enhanced more and more and more, and that never changes, it never stops. There's not an end point you can get to. You can always experience more pleasure, more ecstasy, more orgasms, more orgasmicness, more cosmic experiences of divine union. That never stops. Doesn't matter how, like I keep saying, doesn't matter how old you are, doesn't matter what you look like, doesn't matter how heavy or light you are. None of that is relevant to your sexual experience, okay? And none of that is relevant to your awakening process. You begin to realize how irrelevant all of that is. So it's not all about sex. It's about all of you. It's about everything. And surprise, surprise, even though we come to it, perhaps seeking pleasure because we're sexually dissatisfied. I certainly, was I sexually dissatisfied? I was, in the sense that I'd not had sex for 4.5 years because I was not having sex with my husband for 4.5 years at the end of our marriage. That's another story that's going to be in my book. I don't have time to go into that now. But it's shadow work. It's shadow work. So it's about pleasure and it's about your dark. It's about your light and your dark. It's about pleasure, ecstasy, expansion, and it's about the shadow that arises as we expand into more being, as we expand, as we bring more light into the body. So it's shadow work. Awakening your sexual energy will bring up all your stuff. It will show you where you're contracted. It will show you where you're not being true. It will show you where you are wounded. It will show you where healing is being invited in. It will show you where you don't love yourself. And this is why on my Awakening Shakti course, we spend so much time on all these other pillars so that you have the foundations, you have the groundwork, you have the capacity to process. Because if you go straight into the direct experience of an immediate Kundalini awakening, Shakti awakening, it's going to blow your brains out, and you won't be able to hold it. You won't be able to hold yourself in that. You won't have the capacity to process what's coming up. It could really disrupt your life. And I don't say that to alarm anybody, because personally, I myself never have had that experience, and I don't personally know anyone who's had an instant Kundalini awakening experience. So yes, sexual energy, if this isn't clear to you, is the same as Kundalini energy, is the same as Shakti, is the same as divine feminine creative life force, all synonymous. And so there can be this confusion when we use the phrase, when I use the phrase sexual energy, that people start thinking it's about fucking, it's about sex. No, it's about everything. At the same time, of course, when this energy is activated, you may experience it as a sensation of pleasure and arousal at the base of your body, at your root chakra, and in your yoni and in your womb. Naturally, because that's where this energy enters and rises up from the earth, from the root, from the bottom of the body. Okay? So it's not all about sex, awakening sexual energy. It's about everything, and it's about all of you. Come ready for that. You'll get more pleasure, but you're also going to have to do more shadow work. It's about meeting yourself, basically. Are you ready for that? Come ready for that. It's about being embodied. So again, the process, the practice of sexual awakening is not possible if you're not also in the body and able to feel and sense. And if you can't feel and sense, then she's going to wake that up in you and invite healing of where there is trauma, where there is pain, where there is contraction. This is the process, but it invites you fully into your physical body. So all the stories that you've got going on about shame around certain parts of your body, trauma that may be in the body, not safe that may be in the body, anything, it's going to come up for resolution. And this is why one of the former pillars is the sacred body of woman, right? It's all there for a reason. The process of sexual awakening, of awakening your sexual energy, it's an up and it's a down. So it's an integrative process of the feminine and the masculine working as one. So we can go top down and we can go bottom up. The feminine way is the bottom up, the masculine way is the top down. In Tantra, we're working with both. But as we awaken the sexual energy, which, you know, it's not an esoteric thing, it's a real thing. This is the energy of the mother, it's the energy of Gaia, it's the energy that rises as a red life force energy from the center of the earth and rises into the body through the soles of our feet, through our legs, all the way up our legs, into the root chakra, into the sex center, into the womb, and then up through the central channel, through all of our chakras to the crown, up and out to the sky above. Feminine below, masculine above. And this energy rises up. And as this energy, as we awaken her through various practices and processes, sometimes it happens spontaneously. Mostly it's a process of very gradual incremental shifts as the energy body opens. Because for most people, unless you've been doing practices already, the energy body is closed down or contracted compared to what it could be. As this energy flows up and begins to move through your chakras and into your meridians, which are energy channels that permeate your body, into your energy field, whatever is there at each chakra, whatever is there in your body and in your energy field as a level of consciousness will be stirred, will be brought to light. This is what she does. She brings it to light. She makes conscious what was unconscious. So you begin to see yourself. It's not always comfortable, so feelings will be stirred that feel uncomfortable in the body. All kinds of feelings that you have perhaps repressed for a really long time. Patterns become more conscious. You begin to see the truth of how you've been operating. You begin to see beyond the veil. You begin to see beyond the illusions. You begin to see beyond the beliefs and the thought forms that are in the body as well, and recognize that you are not that. But as I say, it's a gradual and incremental process. Everyone is flowing in this process in their own unique, perfect way in natural time. So natural time is part of our third module, cycle, stages, and natural rhythms. So working in natural time is a part of that. And it requires our surrender and our letting go into the allowing of life's natural flow in and through us. There's nothing that needs to be forced to happen. That is an old masculine patriarchal programming, the forcing, the pushing, the trying to make. The more you're trying to make or push or do, less anything's going to occur. So for Kundalini energy to open and to flower and to flow through you fully, it requires you to relax back into your feminine, which is no thinking, relaxing, surrendering, opening, receiving. Not doing, being, feeling, becoming. So as she moves up, Shakti, sexual energy, Kundalini, as she moves up, this is the awakening process. And it's not, as I say, it's not a one-off thing and it's done and it's happened and it's complete and you're a guru. It's an ongoing, evolutionary process. It's ongoing, it's ongoing, it's ongoing. Life never stops expanding us, right? And then as the energy moves up, so it moves back down. And then the integration needs to happen. So new awareness, new clarity, new light needs to become embodied back down into the flesh, back down into the matter. So up and down, an endless process of awakening, integration, shifting, changing. The body, of course, as you know, changes all the time. It's not a fixed thing that is the same. Cells die, are reborn, die and reborn. You are recreating yourself in every moment, right? So this is the process of sexual awakening. It's a spiritual awakening, one and the same. That's why we're always talking about sex and spirit in Tantra, because we understand that this is the energy of evolution, it's the energy of becoming conscious, and this is the energy of the unification of masculine and feminine polarities and energies and essences. You are, in your physical form, the expression of this energy. You are designed to be a vessel for its movement in and through life, whether you're a man or woman actually. But as woman, you have a deeper capacity to access and embody this energy in its fullness. So, which is why I was saying in a previous video, I can't remember which one, you are designed for infinite pleasure. So this is where the body, the sex and the feminine all connect up. You're designed for infinite pleasure. You're designed for infinite sexual expansion. You're designed for infinite orgasmicness. You're designed for infinite ecstasy. This is your design. Your physical and energetic design is to be this. It does not require you to have a partner. It does not require you to be stimulated by anybody or anything externally. It actually simply requires you to let go, stop thinking, surrender and feel. Allow. For many women, of course, there's a lot in the way of this allowing. There's a lot in the way of this surrendering and opening because of real life experiences that have been traumatic, that have shut you down, where you have been taken advantage of, where you have perhaps been abused. And so there's a lot of fear and contraction in the body which would get in the way of this. So, of course, that's natural, and that is there for many women. It's not, again, this is not something to be pushed past or pushed through. It's something to live, to experience, to breathe with, to be with, and to trust that the energy of Shakti is divine intelligence. And she will go where she's needed, as she's needed, in the perfect timing. But in order, again, this is why we have the 9 pillars and all the other modules that are part of this, part of the opening that is required to allow this full process to happen requires you to do your shadow work, requires you to cultivate deeper meditative stillness, requires you to heal your shadow and your wounds, your childhood wounds, requires you to be able to hold space for yourself, requires you to look at wherever your heart has been closed down and tend to that and heal those wounds. So it requires you to love your body and just look at any shame that you're still holding on to, because all of this is part of the opening. It's all interconnected. One won't happen fully without the other. I hope that makes sense. So, of course, well, not of course, but of course for me, maybe not of course for you, as this opening occurs, as this movement of Shakti energy occurs, a natural byproduct of it is that your sexual experience will enhance, will expand, will shift, will change, will grow in nature. And like I keep saying, the potential in that arena is infinite. But for example, the experience that you can have can open you up to energy orgasms, whole body orgasms, the experience of inner unification, the awakening of higher states of consciousness, tantric lovemaking, conscious relating, experiencing sex as the merger of energy and consciousness, or love and presence. And you can have that experience. I know this might be difficult to understand. You can have this experience without having sex. So you can have sex without having sex. You can experience divine union without having physical sex. You can experience orgasmic meeting in the heart. You can experience orgasmic meeting in the third eye. You can experience it anywhere. So your understanding, but most importantly, your experience of what is sexual, of sexuality, expands beyond what you've known. This is part of the sexual awakening, yes, but it's part of an entire process of spiritual awakening, of becoming who you truly are, and clearing out everything that is not you. And when I say you, I mean your sacred divine essence as one with God. So this is what she is here to do. to open you back to your true nature, your true God nature, your true divine nature. You don't have to believe in God. You don't have to have a religion. It's nothing to do with that. But that is the process of sexual awakening and awakening your sexual energy. I've always been very embodied. It's never been a problem for me. That's not been one of my personal blocks. And I've always been very sensorial. Again, that's been a natural place for me to hang out, and that's probably why, in part, I do this work. However, the level of sensitivity in everything about me has become so enhanced from what it was, and continues to expand and grow. So just trying to convey that, you know, perhaps a long time ago I might have needed a certain amount of quite intense physical stimulation to experience pleasure. Now the finest touch, not just on my body, but if I'm with someone who is also very, very present and awake, it could be something even just in the tone of their voice, in the quality of their gaze, or in the intention for touch from a distance, that I can perceive and feel it and respond to it. So I've even had the experience of entering into full whole body orgasm just by being in a room with a man who is embodying pure presence. This is possible. So I want you to know that so much of what you've been taught and conditioned to believe is reality is limiting your experience. And part of this also is letting go of those limiting beliefs and being prepared to open yourself to the unknown. When we orgasm, we let go. We open ourselves to the void. We are not thinking. We have completely surrendered to existence. It's a death. You know, in French, it's called le petit mort. So it's a death. It's a letting go. And every time we die, we are reborn. Every time we die, we are reborn. Awakening sexual energy. It takes all of the pillars, all of the parts, and this part is so connected, as each of them are, to every other one of the 9 pillars. It's no coincidence that I've placed this part here so that we have the time to build the foundations for the deeper and fuller experience of this. We started with meditation, with the still voice within. That connects us to our divine masculine essence, although that's not necessarily overt at that point. And after this module, we go directly into another and deeper encounter with the masculine. So the next and the last 2 modules are meeting the masculine and divine union. So now that we are more embodied, more whole, more awakened sexually and spiritually, we go on to the next module to meet our masculine once again. So it's like a reunification, a re-meeting from this new, healthier place where the divine feminine is more within us than she was 7 months ago, or 7 weeks ago, or 7 days ago, you know, in this process of 9, right? I hope that makes sense. Just feel like I've kind of delivered everything that I want to deliver for this part today, and I'm just waiting to tune in to see if there's anything else that wants to come through. Just looking to see if there are any comments or questions. Nothing else from you, Sonia? There's one more thing actually that's coming up for me to say, and that is, a couple of things. Wherever you are with this is perfect. So I know from my experience of working with the women in my group and just generally coaching women, mentoring women, that there can be this tendency to compare and to find yourself lacking. So please don't do that. Your inner critic bless him or her. You know, they played a part, but they are not needed now. So if your inner critic comes up, thank them for trying to protect you and say, I don't need you anymore. I want to open to this. I want to go deeper. Comparison is just so undermining of your blossoming into who you are. And it's you know, it doesn't support you. The place of the divine feminine is a place of love and a place of acceptance of all that you are, everything, and wherever you are with this is perfect, is divine timing. And the other thing I want to say about this is the reason I feel so passionately about delivering my mentorship program over 9 months and going so deep into each of these different areas is because of my own experience. Yeah. So my own experience was feeling such a strong calling from my soul, my body, my being, for healing, for awakening, for the sex, right? All of it, for the man. I wanted a man, you know, love, all of it. Feeling that so strongly, I just dived in and I threw myself 100% into all the Tantra workshops, into all the Kundalini yoga. You know, I taught and practiced Kundalini yoga, which is a very intense practice for awakening sexual energy, full on, wholeheartedly. And there's nothing wrong with that. However, what I then experienced was so much awakening happening, so much of my shadow coming up through the Tantra, so many incredible experiences of energy coursing through my body, of what I thought was divine union with other beings, right? It was so much, but I didn't have strong enough foundations to integrate. And nobody was there, you know, in these weekend workshop experiences, for example, amazing opening, in love with the world, bliss with the world, multi-orgasmic this, right? Heart opening galore, feeling at one with God galore. Then go home and have a come down and not know and not be capable, even though I was a teacher already, right? So I had many tools and techniques at my disposal, but there wasn't the container for the ongoing integration. There wasn't the container for the ongoing processing, which needs to happen for that energy of the bliss and the opening and the heart opening and the ecstasy to come on down and be integrated as your shadow stuff rises up, because it will. So popping into a little weekend workshop and going, whoa, but then what, right? I know it takes sustained practice. I know it takes sustained holding. I know it takes sustained integration time, where you're going to feel a little bit uncomfortable and sometimes really uncomfortable. And who is there for you then? I know from my own experience, I needed someone to be there for me, to support me through all of this, reminding me, you know, who I am and where I can get to, because sometimes there is a forgetting when we go really into the depths of it. There's a forgetting for a moment. So I know that I really needed that, and I know that in the experiences of Tantra that I had initially in all the workshops and stuff that I went to, nobody was actually speaking to me in the sense of, even though it was framed as Tantra, this being such a powerful force, that it was the energy of Shakti that I was experiencing. So for example, I've talked previously about how I embodied Kali. I had no idea that that could even happen, and suddenly I was Kali. Whoa, right? And nobody sat me down and explained, this is the transpersonal energy of Shakti, because you have opened so much and surrendered, she has entered into your body. It's nothing to be afraid of. I wasn't actually afraid, but, you know, this is how she works through people. This is what can happen. You may experience this again, right? Nobody told me any of that. And also, although there was processing, there was no information given about from me anyway, there wasn't enough attention given to, you are a human being with a life. You're a single mother with 2 young children. You have to go out of this workshop now and cook and clean and take care of them. Even if you've just been blown wide open, even if you have stuff coming up right now that you're finding very, very difficult to integrate and process, right? So I feel that there wasn't enough holding and respect for my human self. It was like blast open, become multi-orgasmic, and then what, right? So this is why I'm so passionate about making this a sustained, in-depth holding program where we really build the foundations. And the flip side of it, as I wrote in one of my blogs, is in the Kundalini. So that was the Tantra world. In the Kundalini Yoga world, it was also all about the awakening of the energy and transcending and becoming the light. But there was no discussion of sexuality. And again, in the Kundalini Yoga teacher training, it's all about do this meditation, do this practice. But there was no one there to hold me as my shadow came up and started to act out really fucking all over the place, because being a very sexual being anyway, with both of these practices in my life, my sexual energy was all over the place. Nobody reflected back to me with the wise eyes of insight and understanding what was happening. And in the Kundalini Yoga world, there was a lot of old-fashioned thinking really about sex and sexuality, and I felt too ashamed to speak up in my teacher training because most of the teacher trainers were men, and I didn't feel I could really own what was happening in my sex life and in my relating in that context. So there's something else again that I didn't get, which is why I'm so passionate about what I'm doing now, because I'm a woman, I've lived it, and I'll tell you completely honestly everything about my experience, so nothing is hidden. And so there's no need to feel any shame. You can tell me anything. I will not judge you. I will not look down on you. It's all welcome, because more than likely I've been there myself, or I've held space for someone else who has experienced, been or done that. So it's all welcome. And it's not about bypassing, and it's not about going to the light without bringing the light back down into the body to integrate with the shadow. We have to be real and stay grounded with this. Again, feeling very passionately about that. So with that, this is the end of this transmission. Thank you for watching. Thank you for being here so very much. And tomorrow, which is Friday, we are going on to the 8th pillar, meeting the masculine. Can't wait. I love each of these modules because they're all so rich. But tomorrow, we're going on to meeting the masculine. And I just got to check, because I think I've got a client session at 1 o'clock. Let me check, and I'll post the time into the group after this video so you know when I'm going to go live tomorrow if you want to join me live. And post your questions, post your comments, post your reflections. I love hearing from you, so thank you so much, and love.